How's it going, everyone? I'm Landan with LMR.com. Welcome to another LMR.com What Is video. This time around, I'm going to be talking about the 2010 to 2014 S197 Mustangs. Let's get rolling. So if you haven't already, go check out the What Is video about the 2005 to 2009 first-gen S197 Mustangs. In that video, I'll talk a little bit more about the overall S197 chassis updates, as I don't really touch base too much on that in this particular video. So even though the 2010 to 2014 Mustangs consisted of only 5 model years, there were a lot of changes during this time span. Most of these changes consisted of packages, trim options, but there were some pretty significant drivetrain enhancements as well. All right, so like I mentioned in the What Is video for the 2005 to 2009 cars, technically speaking, all 2005 to 2014 Mustangs were codenamed S197. Since we've already talked about the 05 to 09 cars for this video, we're just gonna focus on what I refer to them as the second gen S197 Mustang, which is the 2010 to 2014 cars. So the S197s are the 5th generation of Mustang and were built on Ford's D2C platform, which stands for D-Class 2-door coupe, and at the time, this was one of Ford's rear-wheel drive platforms. The redesigned 2010 model year Mustang was unveiled on November 18, 2008. It went into production in January 2009 and started to hit dealer lots in March of 2009. To many Mustang enthusiasts, the 2010 Mustang kind of felt like the 1994 Mustang, a complete overhaul of the exterior and interior, whereas the drivetrain and suspension components saw very little attention. Throughout the 5-year model run, Ford made body changes, updates to drivetrains, and added a few special edition models and trims to keep the Mustang fresh. After all, the 2010 through 2014 Mustangs had some competition from the other Motown rivals. The Dodge Challenger and Charger and the Chevrolet Camaro were back in full swing. I mean, it was like the late 60s, early 70s all over again. First, let's talk about the exterior. The 2010 Mustang underwent some significant changes. It featured a host of exterior upgrades, all of which still paid homage to the classic Mustang in some way, shape, or form, and was a nice update from the 2005 to 2009 body style. Ford would use the initial refresh from 2010 until 2012. In 2013, they made subtle changes to the second-gen S197, and this small refresh would be used until the end of the S197 platform, which was 2014. Similar to the first-gen S197 Mustangs, the 2010 through 2014 Mustangs still featured a blend of retro and modern styling cues. Up front, the 10 through 12 Mustangs all shared the same style of headlights, which sported gloss black housings and integrated turn signals, although HID headlamps with projector housings were an option. The 10 through 12 cars would receive a redefined grille area, and the Running Pony logo was still proudly presented in the center. The GT models still incorporated fog lights in the grille. Ford referenced the hood on the 10 to 12 car as a quote-unquote power dome hood because of the slightly raised center section, which helped give some new attitude to the Mustang. The washer nozzles were moved to the underside of the hood for a cleaner look. Down the sides of the car were textured black plastic rocker moldings on all models and retro GT badging on the fenders for 2010 GT models. 2011 to 2014 GT saw the addition of the iconic 5.0 badge, signifying the power plant between the frame rails. V6 cars had no badging unless you opted for a particular package that had a tri-bar Running Pony emblem on the fenders. The mirrors were trimmed down and had an edgier look to them versus the mirrors on the first-gen S197s. The lower body line was repurposed from those first-gen S197s, and it ran the length of the car until it transitioned into that subtle side scoop-like recess in the quarter panel. The sweeping belt line helped bolster the classic Mustang look. The door glass openings, C-pillars, rear quarter panel, and sloping back glass still resemble the classic fastbacks. In typical Ford fashion, they made sure to keep the iconic 3-section taillight design. These cars featured integrated sequential turn signals, which in years past was an aftermarket add-on. Similar to the 05 to 09 cars, the faux gas cap remained on the deck lid, but it was updated. 2010 V6s still had a single exit exhaust tip. 2011 to 2014 V6 cars and 2010 to 2014 GTs had dual exit exhaust setups. Depending on the trim level, a simple low-profile style spoiler, pedestal style spoiler, or spoiler delete options were available. Like all Mustangs of the past, the 2010 to 2014 cars sported a few different wheels depending on the package and the trim level. The glass roof, which in my personal opinion is one of the coolest features ever on a Mustang, would be carried over from the 2009 model year and offered on select packages for all 2010 to 2014 model year Mustangs. For 2013, Ford did a small refresh of the Mustang where it received a revised front bumper. HID headlamps were standard equipment, an updated hood where GT models received heat extractor inserts, painted rocker moldings, redesigned rear bumper, a gloss black deck lid panel, and the tail lights were also new. And again, this is just my personal opinion, these have been the best design on any Mustang to date. Certain package and trim level 2010 to 2014 Mustangs would offer a backup camera, which was a first of any Mustang to date. A small yet cool styling addition for the 2013 model year was the running pony puddle lights in the side mirrors. These were only available with certain packages. Similar to the exterior, the interior of the second gen S197s received some fresh styling as well. Most of the major components were updated, such as the dash area, steering wheel, door panels, and center console. Ford still utilized the 3-spoke steering wheel design, retro-inspired dash, and barrel light gauges. Interior color choices were finally simple and to the point. The only main interior color available for the 2010 to 2014 Mustangs was charcoal black. Cloth or leather seats were available, and the color and style depending on the options and trim level of the car. For the first time since 1982, Recaro seats were an option for select trim levels and packages for the 2011 model year, and of course would carry through all the way to the 2014 model year. Ford's Mi-Color instrument panel lighting was a carryover feature that was driver configurable with your choice of 125 colors. The mid-tier stereo option for the 2010 to 2012 Mustangs was the Shaker 500 system. This included a 6-disc CD changer, 8 speakers, and 2 door-mounted subs. The Shaker 1000 audio system was also available with certain packages on the 2010 to 2012 Mustangs. This system featured 10 speakers and 4 subwoofers. In 2013, Ford updated the stereo systems and changed the names ever so slightly. The mid-tier system was just Shaker Audio System, and the upgraded system was called Shaker Pro. Also in 2013, Ford added an optional feature called Track Apps. This was a 4.2-inch LCD screen located in the center of the instrument cluster that would monitor and display on-track performance, including G-forces, braking times, and acceleration times in the quarter mile and 0 to 60 increments. There was even a drag racing inspired Christmas tree for accurate countdown starts. Other notable features of the second gen S197s were a navigation system, dual climate control, and Ford Sync, which would add Bluetooth connectivity. Ambient lighting was still available on certain trim levels and offered several different hues that illuminated the footwells, front cup holders, sill plates, and door pockets. For the 2011 model year, Ford introduced an industry first with the My Key feature. This allowed the owner of the car to assign separate keys to enforce specific driving restrictions such as top speed and audio volume. Now, a little Easter egg for 2010 to 2012 cars was the mirror covers on the sun visors. They directly mimicked the shape of the hood, so that was pretty neat. The suspension on the second gen S197 Mustangs was pretty much a direct copy of the 05 to 09 cars with small revisions to certain areas for improvement purposes. The 2010 Mustangs were the last year for hydraulic power steering as Ford transitioned to an EPAS system, which stands for Electric Power Assisted Steering, for the 2011 model year. These cars utilized a 3-link suspension with a solid axle rear end. Because of the 3-link setup, a panhard rod, also referred to as a track bar, helped keep the rear end stable. 2010 V6 cars still used a 7.5-inch differential, while the 2011 to 2014 V6s received a limited slip 8.8 differential, which was the same rear end as the 2010 to 2014 V8 Mustang. The rear gear ratio depended on the transmission and the trim level. There were a few different brake rotor and caliper options throughout this time frame as well. Like many other features of the car, this depended on the package and trim level. As far as transmissions go for the second gen S197s, there were several. The 2010 V6 cars with a manual still rocked a T5. 2010 manual GTs received the 5-speed TR 3650. The automatic transmission that was used for both 2010 V6 and V8 engine applications was Ford's 5R55S unit. This was a 5-speed transmission with overdrive. For the 2011 model year, the V6 and V8 cars received either Ford's 6R80 6-speed automatic transmission or the 6-speed MT82 manual transmission. This 6R80 saw a small update for the 2013 model year with the addition of Sport Mode. This mode recalibrated the transmission for a quote-unquote sportier driving experience. You could also manually select a gear by pushing the up or down arrows on the side of the shift knob. All 2010 to 2014 Shelby GT500s received the Tremec TR 6060 6-speed manual transmission with dual overdrive. Okay, as far as engine options go for the 2010 to 2014 Mustangs, there were a total of 6. The 2010 model year Mustang would still get the single overhead cam 4-liter V6 and 4.6-liter 3-valve V8. The V6 was left unchanged and was still rated at 210 horsepower and 240 pound-feet of torque. However, the 4.6 would get a little bump in horsepower from 300 to 315 thanks to a recalibrated PCM and a revised cold air intake system. Redline was bumped to 6,000 RPM and the torque rating was 325 pound-feet. For the 2011 model year, Ford introduced a brand new double overhead cam 3.7-liter V6 and double overhead cam 5-liter V8. The V6 was dubbed Cyclone and the 5.0 carried the Coyote nameplate. The 3.7-liter V6 was rated at 305 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. This was pretty impressive from a V6 considering the retired 4.6-liter 3-valve V8 made only 10 more horsepower and 40 additional pound-feet of torque with 2 extra cylinders. The 5-liter Coyote engine debuted with 412 horsepower and 390 pound-feet of torque, which was an increase of nearly 100 horsepower and 70 pound-feet of torque at the flywheel over the 4.6-liter 3-valve engine. In 2013, the Coyote saw a subtle bump in power and was rated at 420 horsepower, but the torque rating was unchanged and remained at 390 pound-feet. Now, I'm not sure where the extra horsepower came from. Like I've said in a few other videos here on the channel, I read where the change in piston coating and the removal of the oil squirters helped with this. Then again, I also heard rumors that Ford simply recalibrated the PCM, so who knows. Both the 3.7-liter V6 and 5-liter V8 engines featured Ford's TIVCT, which is short for Twin Independent Variable Cam Timing. TIVCT allows the Ford calibration engineers to advance or retard the timing of both intake and exhaust camshafts independently. Now, we're not going to go down the rabbit hole for Twin Independent Variable Camshaft timing, so simply put, this allows for improved power and torque, particularly at lower engine RPM, as well as improved fuel economy and reduced emissions. The other two engines were the supercharged 5.4-liter V8 engine in the 2010 to 2012 GT500s and the supercharged 5.8-liter V8 in the 2013 and 2014 GT500s. If you want, you could technically throw a 7th engine in the mix, which was a Coyote variant and was known as the Roadrunner. Think of this engine as the hypo version of the Coyote, and it was exclusive to the 2012 and 2013 Boss 302s. We'll talk more about the specifics of these engines in just a moment. To kick off the specialty models, first let's talk about the Shelby GT500. Ford's SVT division was still committed to offering a flagship model of the Mustang. The 2010 Shelby GT500 also saw a fresh facelift to coincide with the 2010 makeover. Along with the revamp, Ford upped the power to 540 horsepower and 510 pound-feet of torque from the 5.4-liter supercharged V8. The 2011 and 2012 GT500 shared the same options as the 2010 model, but they did get a small horsepower bump to 550 horsepower. The 2010 to 2012 Shelby GT500 received plenty of exclusivities. These included a different front bumper, grills, front splitter with bumper-mounted fog lights, a heat extractor insert in the hood, HID headlight option, 19-inch wheels, a unique spoiler, SVT tuned suspension, stainless steel X-pipe, 14-inch front rotors with 4-piston Brembo calipers, 11.8-inch rear rotors with a single piston caliper, striping options, GT500 badging, and some interior upgrades as well. These were available in coupes and convertibles. To send the S197 platform out in style, Ford dialed it all the way up for the 2013 and 2014 model year GT500. This version of the car was the last one that Carroll Shelby got to witness before his passing on May 12, 2012. At the time, the 2013 to 2014 GT500s were the best production Mustangs ever. The supercharged 5.8-liter V8 engine, which received the codename Trinity, pumped out 662 horsepower and 631 pound-feet of torque and could reach a top speed of 202 miles per hour. These cars received redesigned front grills for better airflow, restyled wheels, quad-tip exhaust, which was a first on any Mustang, massive 15-inch front rotors with 6-piston Brembo calipers, which were the largest front brakes on any production Mustang, 13.8-inch rear rotors with a single piston caliper, and SVT-tuned Bilstein dampers, just to name a few. The California Special package took a backseat in 2010, but returned for the 2011 model year and would be an option until the end of the S197 platform in 2014. Similar to the 0709 GTCS, the 10 to 14 car had all the right exclusivities to make it stand out from a normal GT. The 2011 and 2012 California Special would include a unique chrome-style billet grille with body color surround, unique lower fascia with fog lamps, 19-inch argent-painted aluminum wheels, GTCS side stripes, side scoops, GTCS branded faux gas cap on the deck lid, leather trimmed seats with carbon-colored inserts, carbon-colored door panel inserts, uniquely finished instrument panel and dash trim, GTCS floor mats, rear lower fascia insert, pedestal-style rear spoiler, and a deck lid tape applique. Most of these attributes would carry over to the 2013 and 2014 California Specials. The 1314 GTCSs did receive different wheels, seat material, and side stripes. With the subtle design changes for the 2013 model year, the 1314 GTCSs featured unique black billet-style grills, with the upper grille sporting an offset tri-bar running pony emblem, lower bumper-mounted fog lights, and a more pronounced Boss 302 front splitter. The hood incorporated gloss black heat extractor inserts regardless of the body color and GTCS stripes. Down the side of the car, the side scoops remained in place, but the side stripe was updated and moved to the lower portion of the car. Out back, the pedestal-style spoiler was unchanged, although these cars did receive an updated faux gas cap with California Special insignia and a Boss 302 rear valence. The interior of the 1314 GTCSs would still feature the unique instrument panel and dash trim, but the leather trim seats saw the addition of Miko or Miko, however you say that word, suede inserts, and the door panel inserts were changed as well. All 2011 to 2014 GTCS Mustangs were available in coupe and convertible body styles. During this time span, Ford produced a total of 13,746 California Special Mustangs. For the 2012 model year, Ford dug deep into the archives and brought back a very iconic nameplate, the Boss 302. The first and only Boss 302 Mustangs until the late model versions were in 1969 and 1970. The 2012 Boss 302 would feature what Ford called the Hypo Coyote 5.0, which carried the nickname Roadrunner. The Boss engine was a fortified version of the Coyote that featured center forged connecting rods, CNC ported cylinder heads, and a Boss-specific short runner intake manifold with production number plate. At the time, this engine became the highest horsepower naturally aspirated engine to roll off the Ford assembly line, cranking out 444 horsepower with a staggering 7,500 RPM redline and 380 pound-feet of torque. The 2012 Boss 302 came standard with a lot of cool stuff. Some of those included adjustable shocks and struts with 5 settings, Boss-specific front and rear springs, 25mm rear sway bar, 14-inch front rotors with 4-piston Brembo calipers, quad exhaust with 2 side and 2 rear outlets, Alcantara wrap steering wheel, black cue ball shift knob, Boss-specific instrument cluster, front fascia with splitter, grille with blocked-off fog light openings, painted roof in black or white to match the stripes, hood stripe and reverse C side stripes, and Boss-specific wheels. The 2013 model year Boss featured all the above, but it did get subtle tweaks to coincide with those small refreshes of the 2013 Mustang. The striping paid homage to the 1970 Boss 302s, where it carried from the hood to the side of the car, which are referred to as quote-unquote hockey stick side stripes. If the base Boss wasn't for you, then you could opt for the Laguna Seca package. For 2012, the Laguna Seca was only available in black or ingot silver. This package received Laguna Seca exclusive wheels, R-compound tires, Torsen rear differential, front brake cooling ducts, a more aggressive front splitter, rear seat delete with X-brace, and Laguna Seca badging, just to name a few. In 2013, the Laguna Seca was only available in black or school bus yellow, which was a color exclusive to the 2013 Boss 302. All the exclusivities of the Laguna Seca would carry over from the 2012 version, with very small tweaks to coincide with that 2013 refresh. Alongside the production Boss 302s, there were 2 track-only siblings, the Boss 302S and 302R. Both of these were all-out race cars you could purchase right from the Ford Racing catalog. Both the 302S and 302R were built by Ford Racing from bodies in white, the 302S by Watson Racing, and the 302R by Multimatic. The 302S was built to compete mostly in the Pirelli World Challenge Racing Series, and the 302R was built to compete in Grand Am. The 302S stood out because of its Tiger Racing vented hood, G-Stream racing wing, and front splitter. The 302S was available as 2012 to 2014 model years. The 302R didn't have any aftermarket aero parts, but it did receive some pretty trick BBS wheels along with all the other Boss 302R racing goodies. The 302R was also available for purchase as 2012 to 2014 model years. So just like in years past, the third-party performance gurus took the Mustang and added their own spin to it. Steve Saleen, Jack Roush, and Shelby all still played a part in offering different packages for the second generation S197 Mustang. Ford would also continue the Cobra Jet program, where we saw a 2010, 2012, 2013, and 2014 version. There was even a twin-turbo concept car, but that unfortunately never came to fruition. The 2013 Cobra Jet would feature an exclusive intake manifold that Ford Racing would eventually add to its catalog for enthusiasts to purchase. Other than a California Special, Boss 302, or Shelby GT500, Ford offered a track pack option for 2010, 2013, and 2014 model years. In 2010, this package had dual piston front calipers with performance brake pads, 373 rear gears, recalibrated advanced track stability control, GT500 front and rear sway bars, front strut and rear shock tuning, shock tower brace, rear GT500 lower control arms, 19-inch wheels, and summer-only tires. For 2013, the track package would consist of 14-inch rotors with 4-piston Brembo calipers, 373 gears with Torsen differential, Boss 302 radiator and engine oil cooler, and Recaro seats. The track package was only available for manual transmission equipped cars. Because of all the different options, stages, trim levels, so on and so forth related to these cars, we're going to save all the talking points for another video in the future. If you remember a specialty model that you didn't hear me talk about, go ahead and mention it in the comments below. All right, people, in closing, Ford sold approximately 386,970 Mustangs from 2010 to 2014. That's about 233,035 units less than the first-gen S197s. Although, like I mentioned in the What Is video for the 05 to 09 cars, that's a pretty damn good number considering the competition from Dodge and Chevrolet. Like other Mustangs before it, the 10 to 14 cars did have their fair share of quirks. Just to name a few that kind of stand out to me right off the top of my head is the bubbling hood paint, MT82 problems, although I think that's a byproduct of bad drivers, and cylinder 8 cooling issues on the early Coyote engines. Now, from a bucket list standpoint, before we leave you guys today, one of these days I would like to own a school bus yellow Laguna Seca Boss 302, or maybe even a glass roof GT500, preferably in silver. In the meantime, behind me is my wife's 2014 California Special with a glass roof. I guess seeing this car every day in the garage will suffice for now. As always, we hope that you have enjoyed this What Is video. That's all we have for you today. So until we catch you in the next one, y'all know what to do for all things S197 Mustang. Keep it right here with the real enthusiasts, LMR.com.